Well, Merry Christmas. One of my favorite things around Christmas is all the goodies, the treats, the candies you can make, give away in tins and on plates, send to people in packages. It's just one of the best parts. And the thing is, some of them seem difficult. Cookies can take time or take freezer space or more ingredients. But you know what? There's also a lot of really simple treats that people love and crave this time of year, and it just is iconic. And that's peppermint bark. Chocolate with peppermint. And I think the thing is, it's really a simple thing, but I find a few little tips, a few little tricks make all the difference and can make it the best you've had. Because since we are using such simple ingredients, chocolate, you want it to make sure that it's good, that it tastes actually good, and it's something that people really want. So what I have here are kind of the beginnings of everything. I have chocolate melting on the stove. I have my pan here that I'm gonna pour it in, and I have it lined in some parchment just to make sure it comes out easy. And I just folded my parchment under, creased it to make sure it just fit in the bottom of this, just pans, just so it was easier and didn't have the folds all over it. Also, what I have is my white chocolate I'm going to use later on. This is a two-tone chocolate bar. I want that nice thick layer of chocolate on the bottom, and I want it to be good chocolate, so I'm using bittersweet. And the thing is, brands here can make a difference in the sense that the more flavor, the richer, the better ingredients that go into chocolate, the better it's gonna taste, because that's all you're doing here. So I have some good chocolate melting, and then we have the peppermint. Now, I am just using the broken candy canes I have because they always break. And all I do is I put them into any type of plastic bag, put them in the pieces, all the little broken ones. I love to have these on my counter anyway this time of year, so I always have a few. And then I just take a meat pounder, do it on the smooth side, and just go through, look how quick that is, and break it up into nice pieces, because that's all you need here. So to start, my chocolate's melting. Now I turn it off. I have it on a double boiler. And what I did was, a double boiler is just water on the bottom. You don't want it to touch the bottom of your double boiler. You can also make it a bain-marie by just putting a glass bowl on top of that water. But don't let the vessel touch the hot water, because that can burn the chocolate. So what I'm doing here is pulling that off. I want to dry it off because water can be chocolate's enemy. It can really make it seize up and not do well. So you want to make sure that you don't get water with your chocolate. So right when almost all the pieces are melted, I turn it off and let it just smooth out so it doesn't get overly hot. You don't want this to boil, you just want it to be kind of steamy like it is. You can see the steam. And now what I'm gonna do is just pour this as my bottom layer. Look at that. Now you don't have to necessarily make it go all the way to the edges. And this is where you can kind of pick how thick you want it, because that all makes a difference. It can be kind of more for a look. I'm gonna admit, when it comes to Christmas, I like things to be more special. I like them to have a little bit more work that goes into them. And that means I'm gonna make this peppermint bark extra thick, extra rich, because that's it's a gift. It's something you only maybe do around the holidays. And so you wanna do these special things. I remember my Grandma Conrad, she's no longer with us, but my goodness, did she love peppermint bark. It was just one of those things that you either love peppermint or you don't. She loved peppermint. And so she would make this even just for herself. And this is kind of an adaptation of what she would do, because there are a few little things that kind of make a big difference. So I have my chocolate right there. And then I do like to smooth it out somewhat, so it's at least an even layer. It doesn't have to reach the edges, but you want it to be kind of an even layer. And what we're doing is we're just kind of taking a good chocolate and letting it do its work on its own. We didn't add anything to this chocolate. We just made sure it was an actual chocolate. I do not like to use the barks that are not chocolate. They're out there, just like those melting things. I don't know, I think they don't have as much flavor. They kind of just try to flavor them like chocolate as opposed to have the real cocoa in them. So instead I'm using an actual good chocolate. And we're just gonna smooth that out, and not always, guys. Now see, this is what sometimes happens. You smooth it out, you get to talking, but that's okay. I'm pretty much done. I'm just gonna smooth it out a little bit more. And now I can lick that up all on my own. That's what's fun about doing videos. You get to see me in real life, because this is me. I can be clumsy sometimes. So as I get that up into that corner a little bit, get this over here. And the thing is, this is all gonna be hidden then by a second layer. And that's the important part here. So we're gonna just slide this over, and look how we're getting it all smooth. It has that nice shine to it. That's really what you want right there too. So I'm gonna put that up in the pan. Got a little bit of chocolate on me. Now, usually you would think you just put this right out, let it cool off before we put our next layer on it. I find that when you're doing a double layer, since I'm wanting to mix dark chocolate on the bottom, white chocolate on top, sometimes just like if I make English toffee, it can be kind of hard to get the two chocolates to adhere. because first you're cooling one off, then you're putting one on, and sometimes when you go to break them, they just want to break apart, which can happen anyway. But one thing I find that helps is taking one layer of this broken up peppermint candy and putting this on in between the layers. So I'm putting this on first, and what this does is kind of add this roughage layer, and that roughage helps the next layer of chocolate to adhere better. So we're putting this on, and then the next layer, as it goes on, once this is cooled, has these little bits and little bit of rough spots to adhere to, and it kind of locks it in place better. You still get some that will kind of come apart and not be perfect, but this just kind of adds kind of that just an extra touch and trick that kind of to me makes a difference. So I'm gonna set this in my garage because it's the Midwest and it's getting cold this time of year. I'm gonna let it cool off so when we put the other on, it doesn't mix too much. And then we're gonna have a delicious peppermint bark, and that's what you want. Now I'm pulling the white chocolate off because my bottom layer is hardened, and I wanna pull it off, and I turned the heat off a little bit ago when there's just a few pieces remaining because then it won't get too hot. White chocolate too, it can get burned. It may not be real chocolate, but it could get burned. So you can see here you have that beautiful, smooth consistency. See all that steam that came out from being a double boiler? So I'm gonna pull this up, and again, same trick where I wanna make sure I don't get any water mixed with it, but then I wanna make sure this has a good peppermint flavor. You could just put peppermint pieces and hope that you get some of that flavor, but you wanna up that because this is peppermint bark. So you wanna make sure you have some actual, tangible peppermint flavor. So I'm using extract. That is how you're gonna get the actual good Christmas nostalgic flavor you're looking for. And you wanna make sure you use a real extract because if it is more of a water-based extract or something that has a liquid like that, it could seize the chocolate, and you don't want that. You want one that will mix in with the chocolate. So I have that stirred in. Instantly, it's like, it's peppermint. You really smell it. So what I'm gonna do now is pour this over, and at first, you know, it could kind of melt some of the dark chocolate underneath, but that's okay, because we're gonna quickly smooth it out. We're gonna hopefully not put my offset spatula into it this time, as I did last time. We're gonna get that out there a little bit, get this all done. You don't wanna work too fast, but the thing is, my chocolate underneath, I did put into the fridge just a little bit to get it, make sure it was getting hard. So you could have your white chocolate start hardening and thickening kind of quickly. I'm gonna take it, oh, look at all that. I'm gonna take all those air bubbles and try to smooth them out. Now, look at that. You get all that. Now, those air bubbles that are in it from me stirring, we'll make sure to get those covered up with all the peppermint pieces. Now, if you did this in a container or like a baking dish that had perfect sides and got you square edges, then you could take this all the way to the edge. I'm trying just to take it enough to the edge that I'm getting it kind of covered. You might, you know, when you break it, if you want only clean pieces, you may not use some of the edge pieces, but I'm gonna stop right there. You have a little bits of it in there that aren't quite melted, but that's what I wanted because I don't want it to be too hot and to get burned. Because then once it hardens, it will all be the same consistency. So I'm gonna take now my pieces and we're just gonna put them all over it. Look at that. Instantly you get that color. You get you get that Christmas feel that you're wanting. And you'll get, so if your white chocolate isn't all melted into it, don't worry. As it hardens off, it will just be the same consistency, the same texture, and that's what you want. And on top, I really like to load on the peppermint with the powdery pieces, with the bigger pieces, because this is that first one that people are gonna see. The middle layer was that roughage layer that's just gonna help it kind of adhere to each other. This layer is the one that's gonna give you that look, gonna give you that beautiful presentation that you're wanting, and that's exactly what you want. I wanna use it all up, because I hate when I have these things that just sit in my cabinet and I don't use. I'm gonna put it back into the coolness, let it harden off, and then we'll break it up in pieces. And we're gonna enjoy it. That's the best part. The chocolate has cooled. You can always set it in the fridge for a few minutes too if you really wanna cool it quicker. And now you can see, this is why you do parchment. It's super easy to take out of there. And it isn't stuck to anything. You don't have to make sure. So any vessel that you are gonna have this on, whether it's a baking dish or anything, I would do that just because I think it's simpler. And now you could just break it up with your hands. I sometimes think controlling it a little bit, if you can with a knife. See, look at that. And then you can kind of get a little bit cleaner pieces as you do it. See, now this is what I like. I like a nice thick base of the chocolate, nice thick base of the white chocolate. Now you could try to be very good Maybe actually get some squares out of it, or you can go totally rustic. I think the point is it's up to you. Whatever you like for your holiday. This is all about you. This is all about what you want to make, and that's what I love. You can do big pieces, small pieces, erratic ones. And to me, look at each one, how it's slightly different. I don't like them huge. I like them slightly on the smaller side, only because it's kind of harder to eat. But now, I even got out, since this is reminding me of my Grandma Conrad, I even got out one of her pieces that she sometimes uses. It's chrome. It was actually a wedding gift to her. So it is quite old. She always labeled, I'm sorry, it was an anniversary gift. She labeled everything she had so you knew where it was from. I love that. And I think it's always fun around the holidays to get some of those special pieces out. But think about at a party, whether you're doing a cookie party, a dessert party, something special, how you can just kind of layer these. Do you see how they layer? Look at that. They're so fun. They're so beautiful. I love that, but then I don't have a piece to eat. Let's go ahead. Honestly, we did no work. It's good chocolate to begin with. So you have that smooth, rich consistency of the chocolate, but you can get that hit of peppermint that's mixed into the white chocolate. And the little crunchy pieces on top not only look good, but they hit your mouth at the end and kind of melt on your tongue and taste so good. This is the best peppermint bark. It is simple. It takes no work. You just kind of throw it together. So if you have little time but want to have something special, either to give away, to have at a party, whatever it is, this is what you can make. Super simple, and it has great presentation because it's pretty, it's impactful. That's the point. So what do I hope you do with this? I hope you enjoy it. I hope you can have some festive things at Christmas, and that's what this is all about. So share the video around because yeah, that helps me. It helps everyone else see you can do simple and still be festive. Check my website, wiseguide.com, for this recipe. All of my other recipes, they're on there, they're printable, they can be used every year. That's where I love to have them. So until next time, have something festive, enjoy it, eat and be merry.